Hey, my name's Jonathan Johnson from the Johnson firm right here in Lake Charles. I'm with my brother Adam. We appreciate you checking us out. Today we're going to be talking about DUI in Louisiana, those that are charged with a crime. So, Adam, this is your area of expertise, so I'm going to kind of let you start us off. But um, first thing I want to know is about the administrative process. How do they come at you when you get a DWI as it relates to your driving privileges?
Yeah, so right off the bat, DBIs contain two different aspects. One is the criminal side, which is prosecuted by the district attorney's office or city prosecutor's office. The second aspect is the civil side, which when I say civil, I mean license. And so within 30 days, if you don't do anything, your license is automatically suspended. So what happens a lot of times is people come in and they don't realize that their license even been suspended, and I have to sort of explain that to them. As long as we file the appropriate paperwork within that first 30 days, we prevent their license from being suspended. And in the mass majority of cases, we prevent it from ever being suspended.
So they can keep driving even though they got a criminal charge.
That's right. And the other thing is a lot of times whenever they're asking you to take a breathalyzer, what the police say is, if you refuse, right, it's just going to be worse. Your license suspension is going to be longer. What people don't realize is that whenever they take your license, the night that, you're unfortunately arrested, if that happens, then they give you a piece of paper. And at the bottom of that piece of paper, it literally says, this shall be your temporary driver's license for the next 30 days. That's because it's legal for you to be driving for the next 30 days. But a lot of people come in and they think their license has already been suspended because their license got taken and because they didn't read the fine print on the form. And so it's just kind of it's a problem that we deal with a lot that I don't like not being able to help people that way.
Yeah, so people get a ride to come to the law firm because they think their license is already suspended, not knowing the whole time they're legal to drive and that you can fight that suspension while you're also dealing with the criminal charge.
That's exactly right. Basically what happens is as long as we file the right paperwork within 30 days, then we can make it to where your driver's license is, in most cases, never suspended at all.
All right, so you filed the right paperwork. They get to you in time. Well, I mean, I guess that's a big question. What happens if they don't come to you in the first 30 days? Is that license automatically suspended, or is there something you can do about it at that point?
It's, and I don't know if we want to release this on YouTube, but in any event, there is this sort of a workaround. There is a out of time request that we can make. And under the law, the out of time request is considered the same way the in time request is. And when we file the petition to appeal at the second layer, and I know it's getting specific, but when we file this appeal, a lot of times they just consider it the same way, and we can get your license reinstated that way too. I don't like doing that. All right. There's nothing illegal about it or anything like that, or unethical about it or anything like that. It's just that sooner or later, they're going to figure out that, hey, those out of time requests, we're just treating them like in time requests. And so, that's eventually going to create a problem.
So if they get a DWI, somebody is unfortunately arrested, they've gone through this experience. Obviously, that's traumatic in its own right. Time matters. First off,
Yeah.
Hey, you got to get right on it.
That's right.
If you don't, you guys have a way to try to address it. But certainly, it's better if they come in within that 30-day period instead of waiting, until day 35.
That's absolutely right. But let me clarify, because I may not have made it very, very clear. Within that first 30 days, you can request, and you're automatically going to be given another temporary driver's license that keeps you driving legally. If you don't apply within that 30 days, your license is going to be flagged, all right, as suspended. But we can still file what's called an out of time request. What, stinks, for lack of a better word, about that is your license is suspended in the meantime, and the DMV ain't quick. So we have to file all the paperwork, and your license is suspended. If you come in within that first 30 days, we can prevent it from being suspended altogether.
Okay. So you filed the paperwork. You've got this appeal. Your client, are they issued a new temporary driver's license at that point?
Yeah, they're issued a new one. It's good for usually, 3 to 6 months. And we have what's called a telephone hearing. The telephone hearing is kind of a sham. We win it about 15-20% of the time. But the good news is when we lose it, we go through the same exact process. They say, hey, that temporary driver's license we sent you, it's no longer good after 30 days. We file a petition in district court, okay? And we undo that suspension. And once we get the hearing set, we continue it without date, and you're right back to driving legally. As long as you're in the process of appealing the suspension of your license timely, they can't suspend it.
You get to keep driving.
That's right.
And this is all going on at the same time that the criminal charge. And I don't want to go over to the criminal charge right now, but you see a lot of, I mean, attorneys handle these cases for people. Is every attorney that's handling a DWI litigating the license suspension like you guys are?
No. No, I mean, not only do we litigate, I mean, I've got a former state police officer that's, reviewing the cases and, arguing the suspension hearings just on the civil side. And what's important is, especially with respect to your CDL, if we can win that first hearing,
CDL, what's that?
Commercial driver's license. If the commercial driver's license is coveted, you do not want that thing suspended, because it's not just whether or not you can drive back and forth, to, church. It's whether or not you can drive for a living. Some of these guys that, have the CDLs, if you take that away from them, you fire them. Like, you in effect have fired them. So we want to throw everything and the kitchen sink to make sure that license doesn't get suspended. And so that's why we have people in house that look at that very closely.
And every case that you take on, every DWI case that comes into the office that you handle, you're doing both the criminal side and the civil side across the board.
That's correct. And we call it comprehensive criminal defense. What it means is you get the civil side, you get the criminal side. We put an investigator on your case, and then we try and win at all costs.
Let's say you file that appeal and you're having to go through that hearing. You're now in district court. Have you actually had trials with the state over license suspensions?
Well, we used to have them a lot more than we have them now. Nowadays, they're trying to find a way to help me because, another little tidbit. Basically, if we've gotten the DWI dismissed or reduced massively down to some little traffic ticket, and then we go over on the civil side and we have to litigate the license, right? They want us to actually go forward with the hearing. And that's more common in second offenses and third offense type cases. But if we have to litigate that, our judges know why I'm there. They know that, I'm just trying to fight to keep this guy's job. I'm trying to fight to keep this guy from driving, and hopefully to keep him kind of on the road. And hopefully, in the meantime, we haven't gotten arrested for anything else. So by the time this plays out, we're at a point in time where we have a body of work to show the judge that we're not a danger to anybody. We learned our lesson. And by the way, we were innocent because they reduced the DWI to a speeding ticket.
Yeah. So whether he was, shouldn't have gotten a DWI to begin with because he wasn't impaired, or whether it was a mistake that we are indicating, hey, that shouldn't define you. Either way, you got a lot of time between the time that occurred and the time you're in front of these judges to say, hey, look, this guy deserves a little grace.
Right. And I've only lost one time. I've tried about 30 of them. I've lost one. And the one that we lost, we knew we were going to lose, but we had to take a shot anyway. We didn't want the guy to get his license suspended.
Yeah. So
nowadays, though, we're not actually going forward with those hearings a lot because we've won so much. And so now the attorneys for the Department of Public Safety are usually trying to find a way to help me out. One of the ways in which we help people out is if we can get, on a first offense, if we get it reduced to anything but that's not a DWI, then the license, we don't have to go forward that hearing. It's automatically reinstated. On a second offense, if we expunge the first time you were arrested for DWI, then they'll treat it like it's a first offense, which is a maximum, of a 90-day suspension, which we can litigate over, or whether we can just get them an expanded license that we agreed to in court and that I define the definitions. You can drive for any household related, activities. And you can drive in all, 64 parishes in the state of Louisiana. So then we negotiate the terms of your restricted license, which isn't very restricted.
All right. So let's pose this question. All right. They don't come in timely, whether you file the out of time appeal or not. Let's assume they come in months after they were supposed to, after they got the DWI, and you're not able to challenge the license suspension. And the license automatically is suspended. Okay, so now they have a suspension and they have these criminal charges, and you're able to go over there and get those charges reduced or dismissed. Is the license automatically reinstated, or do they still have to serve that suspension based upon, the fact that they didn't appeal it in time?
No, they would just have to serve the suspension. If they come in way too late, all right, there's nothing we can do on the license side. That's why it's just critical to come talk to us, ASAP. And that's why we put out videos like this.
Okay. The last question I have about it is, in your experience, because I know you have a lot of experience with this, how many attorneys, law firms are trying these administrative cases?
The administrative side, there's probably some trying the administrative side, but when you say trying it, doing the telephone hearing is one thing.
No, I'm not talking about the telephone. I'm talking about, hey, you've done the telephone hearing, and then you're filing the appeal to be in district court, and you're going to go forward with a trial on a license suspension. You said you've you've won like 30 of these things or tried like 30 of these things, only lost one of them. How many other firms or attorneys do you know that are taking these license suspensions that far in the process to make sure their clients' license doesn't get suspended?
I'm not aware of any. I'm not aware of any. And that's not, shame them. Just the license law is complex, and very few lawyers know it. But when Dad was, when I went to work for Dad, all those years ago, all he let me work on initially, so that I understood how complicated this stuff was misdemeanor DWIs and expungements.
Yeah.
So I had no choice but for a year, like 15 years ago, to just study this stuff. And so that's when it was learned. And it's really difficult. It takes a whole lot of time. And I don't know. I thank God, I thank Dad for, training me that way, because it's paying off.
Yeah. And so one of the things you come across when people are looking to hire an attorney, an obvious thing is how much attorneys cost.
Yeah.
So when you quote your fees on a DWI, it's not only that, hey, I'm going to go represent you on the criminal side and we're going to do everything we can to get this thing dismissed. But you're representing them on the civil side. And you, as you said, are the, one of the only ones that's taking it all the way to a trial, if you have to, on both the criminal side and on the civil side.
Yeah, and I would say this before I explain it to everybody and sort of walk them through this process of the civil side and the criminal side, and this is what we do on the civil side, this is what we do on the criminal side. The value, I think, may be questioned on the front end. It's never been questioned on the back end. My clients know that a lot of times I was able to keep my job. I was able to keep my CDL. I didn't have to switch occupations. My license never was suspended, which is most of the time. So the value, I think, we're a little bit more expensive, I think, on the front end, but when you actually look at what we do and covering everything, we're a heck of a deal.
Yeah. Well, that's it for today on DWIs. You could follow our channel, subscribe to our channel, because we're going to be putting out tons of content on very specific issues of the law that we think may be relevant to people. So thank you very much.